Hello and welcome back to Almost Cult Classics, the podcast Sidetracks edition. My name is Joe Ramoni, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host Ryan Lancello.
Hey.
And if you're joining us from our last episode on Mel Brooks' silent movie, you'll know we did not enjoy that silent movie very much, but going into it, Ryan asked me some actual good silent movies I would recommend watching.
I said, if you're say you're a greenhorn, you're coming in, like, give me 3 silents to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you picked, you didn't want too hard, there were 3 classics, but I was really hoping you were going to like that silent movie, by the way.
What? Oh, so we could have a really contentious episode?
Well, I would have just insulted you for an hour
and
a
half. No, look,
half.
especially when you're watching these 3 movies we're going to talk about, it's hard to look at silent movie and see it as anything other than just a misfire.
Well, that's what I was saying to you right before we turn the mics on here, is that even something like City Lights, which I didn't really care for, it's like artistry was involved in that.
Mm-hmm. But the 3 I recommended to you, and we'll talk about them in chronological order, I guess, was 1923's Safety Last, starring Harold Lloyd, 1926 is The General with Buster Keaton, and 1931 City Lights with Charlie Chaplin. So on our previous episode, on A Million Ways to Die in the West, previous, you had checked out your first Harold Lloyd feature, which was The Kid Brother, and you really enjoyed that. And Safety Last is arguably considered his best. It's certainly one of my favorite films. What did you think?
It was better than Kid Brother.
Oh.
It's good. It's really good. And it's a movie where I think it more than holds up today. I brought up how the awful brown intertitles in silent movie, as to contrast how artful they were in this, and how really well thought out and really elegant, and just it worked very, very good, very well. The whole movie, man, I thought was great. The camera moves beautifully.
What did you say to me what did you mean when you said you were sweating the whole last act?
Well, the last third of the movie is climbing the building,
mm-hmm.
and you see the clip of him hanging from the clock, and you just kind of assume that it's maybe a quick scene. He's climbing the building for like a half hour,
mm-hmm.
and it's shot so well. It's such a weird mental trick because it's fake. I know how it was done.
Mm-hmm.
I can visualize how it was done in my head. It's not hard. It's just on a platform, basically, right? But
he's on the roof.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not a ton of danger there. He's high. He's up.
Yeah, no. He had half a hand, so he could still.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Though. It's not what it is presented as. However, it's presented so well that it's like when you watch guys climbing the fucking antennas and shit.
Oh yeah.
My hands were sweating the whole time.
There's the gag where the film is based on something that actually happened to him, where he saw this guy Bill Struther, who plays the pal in this. He witnessed him climbing a building, and he was so inspired by that he said, "Will you be in a movie? I'm going to write this movie." And there's the one scene when he's running away from the police officer initially, and he climbs 4 or 5 story building. It's still there's nothing there.
He's climbing the building.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's it gives you a taste of what's coming. But then it's just, I love how many jokes and gags they continually invent and reinvent on that climb. There's so much stuff they manage to throw at him, literally, that you think how long can this keep going? What's going to come next? And it's just, I love there's the guy taking the picture with the gun, and the flash bomb goes off, and there's the giant dog comes running out. There's so many great little things like that.
And it's funny, like I said, it takes up a third of the movie, and Joe's right. It's filled with great gags, but it's so funny because it overshadows what came before it, which was great. All this stuff with him in the department store. I'm seeing this poster right here where he's fighting off the old ladies. That scene is really done well. It's staged perfectly, and everyone's the performance.
Anyone that's worked in customer service can watch that and be like, "This is even in 1923. It's people are still the same."
Yeah, but it's just you'd be surprised that someone did this in 23. Technically, it's framed correct. It's edited in a way that you're getting the maximum anxiety in certain scenes, or you're rooting for him. He's fucking funny physically. The whole switcheroo he's doing with the floor manager and
yeah, the plot is roughly he's sent from some small town to the big city where he's going to get a job and send for his fiance to come live with him, and he just gets a job as a clerk in a department store, and he's kind of lying to this fiance via his letters that things are going well. He's really successful. He's sending her all the money he gets to live off of. He's buying her things to send her. And she ends up surprising him and coming to the department store, and he has to fake that he's kind of the big wig down there, which he gets away with. But then he actually comes up with a great idea where he sees his buddy escaping from police, and he says, you know what, I'll draw a big crowd by saying we're going to climb the 12-story building.
Which was very big at the time. These kind of things. People sitting on flagpoles and stuff.
And then the friend gets detained again, so that Harold has to climb the full length of the building.
It's funny, too. You know what this movie maybe inadvertently subverts one of those tropes you hate? Is the liar revealed? He doesn't really get revealed.
Mm-mm.
He just kind of wins.
Nope. It all's forgiven. It's just...
No one cares about the lie. But it's funny because, you think so much of with Silence that it's all physical comedy. And what I really appreciate is when he's kind of trying to pretend he's the manager and stuff. A lot of clever real things they're doing in this. And it's hard for me to explain without you seeing it.
It's very visual.
Visual, but it's still... It's they're doing a lot with what characters are saying. They're doing it in silent. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Like, you get it. You can kind of pick up on it. Not everything has an intertitle or anything, but you understand what's going on, what they're saying to each other.
Yeah, there doesn't need to be a title card.
That's an innate creativity, man. That is good stuff because you just immediately recognize it. It's a feeling.
Yeah, and he's very well conveying his face. With how he's feeling, his anxiety, his what he's going through, and like you said, there's those great moments where he takes his girlfriend around the store, and she wants to go see his big office, and the boss is out, so he takes her in there, and she keeps hitting buttons on the phone, and all the different people are running in, and it's just
they're wondering like he's there, and he's got to get him out of there. I was surprised.
Yeah,
1923.
Mm-hmm.
It's surprising.
It really embodies what a silent movie was about. Having a great story, but also continually doing great comedy gags and jokes and along the way while still having that spectacle. I think that's the thing about it. It's very, very... Watching it today, even, like, we kind of know how it's done, but it's still jarring. It can still be... When you look at him and you see those cars down below, it's not rear projection. It's...
Well, explain it a little bit. I mean, how it's done.
As far as I know, because there's still been, and this didn't come out for years until one of his gag men finally spoke up about it, but they essentially built a rooftop, a facade on top of the actual roof. So if he fell, it wouldn't be more than a few feet, but they angled the camera in such a way to make it look like it was higher up than it was. And they just kept rebuilding that and angling the camera to make it look like he was going higher and higher. And I think how they actually discovered this technique was there's some tunnel or bridge in L.A. where they realized if they built on top of that, it looked like, they were on top of a skyscraper. So it's really all about like trick photography. And it's never done in a way where you see through it. It always looks real. It always feels real. And again, as I said, he had an accident a few years prior, lost a thumb and forefinger on one of his hands. So he's climbing, doing that stuff with half a hand.
He is, he's climbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. There's not a full hand there, like 5 fingers.
No, and he never kind of phones it in. It just always, it builds and builds. It's kind of like a great example of story structure where they always say, get your hero stuck up in a tree and throw rocks at him. Mm-hmm. That's that whole last act. He's up in that tree and they're throwing rocks at him.
I couldn't believe how long it was going and how I wasn't, like I was saying, a lot of the problems with these silences, you get the gag and then, they have to play out the gag and it's like, all right, like, okay, like sometimes they get clever with it and it goes in a direction maybe you didn't think of, so whatever. But this, I didn't get tired of him doing this.
And this is a big thing about Silent Me and like ending the movie on such like a comedic note. But you have that great shot of the buddy running away with the cop as he gets further and further away. He's still running into like the sunset.
I loved that, man.
And the drunk caught up in the net at the bottom, like, because you really don't even remember that happening. Kind of like here we are, 20 minutes later, the bum is still caught up in the net and can't get out.
He's still causing trouble down there.
Yeah, really, really.
It's well thought out.
Yeah.
And that's why, I'm going to keep saying this because it was the impetus for all this, is that you look at Mel Brooks' silent movie and you go, did you guys just come up with one idea and stop? Like, you didn't think this through. You didn't think it out. You thought it would be enough that you could put fucking Marty Feldman in some kind of weird aviation cap, and that was enough. It's not enough.
So I'm going to refer to one of our favorite books, which is My Lunches with Orson.
It's phenomenal.
There's many great chapters of just Henry Jaglom.
Sure.
Jaglom.
Jack off.
Yeah, not a interesting guy, but he recorded his Lunches with Orson Welles, and You would be surprised how many different topics come up, but they get on the topic of Keaton, Chaplin, Lloyd. He's referring to Chaplin here, who was essentially, he's saying, was like Johnny Carson because he had writers. And he said he was Johnny Carson. He did think up gags, but he also had gag men. The only one who didn't was Harold Lloyd, who was the greatest gag man in the history of the movies. If you look at his movies, the gags are the most inventive, the most original, and the most visual of any of the silent comics.
He's right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's impressive when you watch this. Like he's saying, it's on a technical level, on a visual level, on a, like you were saying, trick photography. I think it was some God. Who the hell was it? Some dickhead philosopher. I think it was Adorno. Yeah. I think he said, like, talkies ruined the art of cinema. You had an emergent new art form,
mm-hmm.
and you just made it a facsimile of reality, because now it's just people talking.
Right. You know, I think it was Chaplin who said, like, you know, it might have even been Keaton, but it was like just when we perfected it, they changed it. Like, it was just when, and Chaplin hung in the longest, which we're going to talk about City Lights later, but, you know, most of these guys were willing to at least try to embrace sound.
Well, and that was the whole gist of the artist, too.
And that's where we're going to talk about the artist, too, which I haven't seen since it came out in theaters when it was on that.
I saw for the first time a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so we'll end this at getting to that, because I think that'll be a good way to wrap it all up. But yeah, Safety Last, you're going to recommend over The Kid Brother if you're looking to. I think
this is where you don't want to rank these things sometimes. Like, oh, this is bad. They're great movies.
Well,
Harold Lloyd movies, just go watch them. They're really good.
I think as far as pacing wise, this does move a little bit faster than The Kid Brother. Yeah. I think it's a great silent movie to get into if you're looking to get into silent movies. It's the one to start with.
Absolutely.
But the next one is arguably the best, which is The General, which you had also never seen.
Nope.
And what did you think of The General?
It was a spectacle. It was great.
It's amazing.
I think I liked Safety Last more personally, but it's really good. It's once again, it's impressive. You're impressed by it.
And this was the film that arguably like kind of tanked Buster Keaton's career, because it was, the budget's huge. You're watching trains fall off a burning bridge, but it was such an ambitious type of project, and you know it kind of really pushed him into that studio system into the late 20s, and you know. He kind of gradually lost his say in his work after that. This was kind of like the last movie where it was him, and
well, he goes all out because it's all on the screen, man.
It's you know I think it appeals a lot to like anyone that's ever like wanted to fight for something, because like that's all he wants. He just wants to, and they don't let him, and it's, you know, society sees him as
weak,
a
less
deserter,
than, yeah,
and it's just not the case. He's a I don't know what state they're in, but he's in the South.
I don't know if they mention it.
And he's a Western Atlantic Railroad train engineer. It's in Georgia, I guess, is where it starts. But yeah, it's when the American Civil War breaks out, and he can't enlist because they think he's more valuable to them as an engineer, but they don't really tell him that. So he just thinks they don't want him. And again, talk about turning comedy into something like that, where he keeps trying to get back in line and hide his face, and a smaller guy signs up, so he doesn't understand what's going on. But yeah, it is a spectacle. It's great.
It's surprising, and you know, I'll say it again. It's you can tell they thought it out. It was planned. There was an idea and a way to do it, and they did it. They saw it all the way through.
So the interesting thing about The General, obviously, is that our lead character is in the Confederacy, and I think that there's so much Civil War movies that deal with race and deal with slavery. This is one that doesn't. In fact, the only reason Johnny Gray, his character, is in the Confederacy is because Keaton understood that he had to be on the underdog side. It had to give the story that stakes. And I think beyond the uniforms, they don't even really comment on the issues at all. No. It's just the country's at war. We feel this way, and they feel this way. And I'm going through this one article on it, and I see someone has roped it into being representative of the lost cause of the Confederacy, which I roll my eyes at, because I think this is the last film that does it. I think it's irrelevant. And then I click on where it's cited, and I look up the article, which I don't even know the website or the name, but
Like, yeah, it's just,
Dude, I very rarely get like angry about this,
I know,
but I am like,
it's laughable because I like the premise too. Is that, like there's some there's some neo Confederacy down in the day, like, and we're gonna do it for the general. Like this movie's their big rallying cry or something.
Exactly, and
it's
I think
a fucking old silent comedy.
Some woke millennial stumbled upon this and decided to write this article without probably ever seeing the movie, just of what it is. In his 1926 comic masterpiece, The General, Buster Keaton plays the protagonist, Johnny Gray, a Southerner declared unfit for active service in the Civil War, but determined to fight for the Confederacy anyway. Defending the Southern sympathies of the film, Keaton explained, "It's awful hard to make heroes out of the Yankees." First of all, that defending
that's
the
funny.
Southern sympathies of the film, that's not really what he's doing.
Wasn't he trying to impress the girl? The girl didn't want him if he wouldn't fight.
And I think
because he wasn't a real man. He give a fuck about the Confederacy.
He at no point does he, and even since did Keaton say, "Oh well, you know, no." He just said it's hard to make heroes out of the people who were winning a war. Like that's the point.
Plus, it is a kind of a funny. It's like
it is, but that and I think that's like it almost like
he was doing it for a woman. Let's not forget this, for a woman.
And I think that's and yeah, it's about her father and the brother. Like he doesn't seem to really want to get involved one way or another. It's just that the fact that his girl
he needs to prove himself.
Yeah,
that's it.
And not only that, that comments on the hypocrisy of war. Like it's just like all these young men, a lot of them on the Confederacy and Union weren't probably thinking that much about the issues as much as it was about let me prove myself. Like there was a lot of that.
It's the story of most wars.
Yes, and the film does a great job of commenting on the fact that the country was at war. There was you were going to have to fight for one side or another, depending where you lived. So, you know, it wasn't really about in this film's context. It's not about what the issues of the war and the issue of slavery. It was just about a guy who was caught up in the middle of the country at war and found himself on the southern side.
And you know what else? You raise an interesting point, and just an interesting way of looking at it is that you can go see the pictures after the war ended of Union and Confederate soldiers shaking hands, eating together, having like, hey man, like it was called a reconciliation. Like it was over. And
don't get me wrong, I think there is a type of lunatic lost cause Confederacy mentality that does exist out there.
Fine,
but
the general's not stoking that.
No, and not only that, I think that it's such a silly movie to use as an example, even though it's like, look, Birth of a Nation, like they're countless, even Gone with the Wind, the stuff in Gone with the Wind is, you know, more of a issue than this. It's just,
dude, they're picking over the bones anymore.
I know.
They're trying to find anything.
And I think that there are people that fought for the Confederacy that were just stuck in that place and time, and they had to fight because that's what society demanded of them. And his character in this is an example of that. He's just...
Well, not only that, to what you were saying, too, the whole point of the movie isn't about the Confederacy or the Union or the Civil War. It's about a man using his talents to prove himself to others that were like, oh, you're just this. It's like, no, I'm the fucking hero of the war, or at least part of it. They don't win. But...
Yeah, well, it's based on a memoir called The Great Locomotive Chase, which I guess deals with Keaton's brilliance as he could take that concept, unlike Mel Brooks, and adapt it for... perfect.
Poor Mel,
but
took a beating this time around.
He took so much shit for this movie at the time because everyone was like, it's not that the Civil War was still fresh, which it was more so than it is now, but because you're making humor of young men dying, and it's like that's the point. That's how is what he's showing actually happened worse than what actually happened? Like,
well. That's an interesting argument because I've made this argument. The older I get, the more I'm feeling this way is that, like, I think it's kind of, look, these things happen. If you want to make movies about things that have happened, fine. But, like, I keep looking at the D-Day sequence in Saving Private Ryan, right?
Mm-hmm.
That happened.
Yes.
No. That happened.
Right.
Then a bunch of actors went and pretended to die horribly on a beach, and we filmed it, and we look at it and go, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
It's not fucking real, and honestly, it cheapens a little bit. Is that a good sequence? Sure. Honestly, I watched it recently. I don't know if it held up that. It's good.
Was that just because it was shocking at the time, you think, though? Or
no, you could apply this to any war movie. What I'm saying is that, like, this, especially, like Vietnam's a weird one. It's a weird one, too, because the movies generally aren't of heroics. It's more like, this is fucked up.
Right.
So it's not,
and
don't get me wrong.
That's kind of what The General is, though.
Yeah, the general. It's not. That's the thing. It's in no way. It's not even a war movie. It's taking place during a war. It's a train movie, if anything. Like,
Do you want to run down the plot for those unfamiliar? It's like we said. It's a guy who can't enlist because he's an engineer, and as he, a few months or however long it is later, and he's an engineer, his train gets taken by Union soldiers who have this big plan to cut off supplies. I think they're going to, burn every bridge they cross and, make an art. And he's the only one that really steps up to the plate and fights. And, a good portion of the film, he's on this other train by himself. You wouldn't think he would get that much comedy out of it, but man, is the comedy so, like, it really is like a spectacle. Like, that scene where he's driving the wood off of the...
It's incredible.
You watch it and you're just like, how did...
There was a lot of rewinds on this one. Because it's a locomotive.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? It's not a prop or anything. Like, it's a big
and
train.
a lot of near misses where, like, it goes up a, track switch and trains come close to each other. And it's Keaton's whole thing is he just kept his composure and that face and just, it was great.
It's well done. I think it was Safety Last, but you got me thinking now about, like, is Safety Last, was it this or Safety Last where he's at the train station and he's picking up his bag and he picks up the black baby?
Oh, that's Safety Last. Yeah. He picks up a little black baby in a carry-on or something, carriage.
Everyone's like, because he's like, I'm getting on the train now with my suitcase, but he's carrying the little black child. It's so funny.
Hilarious.
Oh, boy. Oh,
yeah,
man.
and it's... This has a lot of great sight gags like that, too. When he... Like, the train that's in front of him somehow ends up, like, veering off or getting behind him, and he looks out the window and is like... It takes him a minute to be like, where's the train going? And then it comes back, and he does the same thing. And not only that, just, like, when that train comes across that bridge on fire, it's, like, it's amazing.
It really is.
Yeah. How'd they clean that up? Is it still there?
Probably not very well is the answer. I always wonder that, too. We've asked that on a previous episode. What happens there? I know there's regulations now when you drive a car off a cliff or something. Let me ask you something. With the making of this, like, did they set up tracks somewhere? Do you know? Because that's the other thing too. You're getting amazing tracking shots when they're on the train. It's smooth, like, and you're not like you're watching the train go down the track. You're with it, like, really, really technically impressive movie. But
I believe most of it was shot in Oregon, and he had found a rail that wasn't in use any longer. So they shot most of it on that. But there were still portions they had to recreate and build, and like that bridge stuff, like that's all, they built a lot of that stuff. Right. It was a costly movie, and that's the thing where it really didn't make its money back. And it wasn't until years later that people started to be like, all right, it might be, I think this is the greatest silent movie ever made. I think it hits all of the beats of, what American cinema should be about, what silent film should be about, and it's light. It's not super long. It's just over an hour, and I did you watch that Orson Welles intro I sent you?
I think I did.
He talks a lot about Matthew Brady's Civil War photography.
Shit, I didn't. I should have.
And
did you send it to me on my phone?
I think so. I know you hate watching things on your phone. All of our listeners, go YouTube. Orson Welles introduces the general. My favorite line that he goes,
"This is a farce without Chaplin-esque sentiment, but imbued with a real and very curious sort of dignity."
It's great. He hits it.
Wait, maybe I did watch it and I was just drunk, because I remember texting you laughing because he's like, this movie is the Civil War.
The Civil War.
Oh, it's
picture.
the Civil War movie.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not.
It is.
Why do you say that?
Because I think it is.
We just talked about how it really doesn't get into the war.
No, but that's it.
You're saying it's the Civil War movie in the sense that it showed just how
correct,
almost senseless,
correct,
and just kind of you got caught up in it.
Yes,
and you're just an engineer, and all of a sudden I'm a Confederate soldier.
Correct. I think that's what I assumed he meant.
Okay. I took that as him being a fucking asshole and like a blowhard, and like, no, I'm making the definitive statement. And
he does have the cigar in his mouth. He's just puffing smoke out. But I just love that, the real quiet dignity.
It does have that. I thought it dragged a little when he was rescuing the girl in the dark.
You had to have that little
And it
moment
was like
where,
raining.
yeah,
It just kind of
he breaks into
it was like
the
too,
house.
too dark, I think, and I just kind of lost what was going on. But then it picks right back up.
Oh yeah, it moves for the most part moves quick. Like you said, there are a couple scenes that are, but again, we're going to come back to that great ending gag where all the soldiers are walking by and he's trying to kiss his girl and he just can't stop saluting them. Funny, great way to end the movie.
Really funny.
And just a lot of really, really beautiful fucking cinematography and like
Breathtaking.
yeah.
It's like
Because you like again, we look at this and we're like, oh, it looks old to begin with, but it does look like the Civil War.
yeah.
The people,
Uh-huh.
the costumes,
You
the
could say-
sets, it looks like a Civil War photograph.
Yeah, because you're really 70 years removed almost. It does. You're
It
right.
looks-
It really does, man.
My favorite shot in the movie is after they win their battle, and all the men are coming back to town, and he's just walking with them, and he took the outfit off of someone else, and he's just strolling along with them, real proud. Like, it's great. It really does sum up the hypocrisy of war in that sense of like you said, the being drawn into it, and just because that's what's and like the attitude of the women at the time are just like how his girl is of like, fight, you need to fight, like,
Well,
I
dude,
don't want a man that can't fight, like
That was up until at least probably Vietnam.
I mean,
there was a whole thing in England. I forget exactly what it was. I think it was a red ribbon or a silver ribbon. The girls would give it to you like, you're a coward. Why aren't you fighting? Go fight.
I mean, that's like, all of our grandparents, like our grandfathers are, over there, and it's crazy to look back, but this is...
My grandfather's still over there. He thinks the war's still going.
That's the plot of a Laurel and Hardy movie. Yeah, this one is great. I'm going to come back to this Orson Welles book because he also does talk about it, and he has one of my favorite quotes on it. I think it sums it up for me. There's nothing Chaplin ever made that's as good as The General. I think The General is almost the greatest movie ever made. And he was so right about, because we're segueing into Chaplin now, he was so right in the sense that I think historically, and he says, gives the bath. Historically, Keaton will give Chaplin the bath.
I think it's playing out.
Yeah.
I think it's playing out.
Because we're going to talk about next what is, everyone has a different favorite Chaplin, I feel like, but
1931's
this is considered
City Lights.
to be one
Wow.
of the best.
That's a great poster. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing the same one?
Oh, yeah.
You know what's funny? I wish 1 second of the fucking movie looked like that or had city lights. Did you notice there's no city lights? The movie seems small in a weird way. I didn't like this movie, by the way. It has its moments. And I've talked about before how I thought The Kid was amazing. I didn't get a chance to rewatch it again. It probably still is. But this one, like you said, this is considered his best. Joe's giving me like the shrug.
As far as critical opinion, I think this one is hailed as being the best. I am in the same boat as you. And Orson, I don't think it comes close to the beauty of The General or the humor of Safety Last. I think it is
it has none of that.
I think it is I think he said, Orson, in this book, Chaplin drenched his pictures with beauty. It's drenched with beauty. So I saw this movie as a kid years ago, and Chaplin to me was always more enjoyable in his shorts.
God, I wish I liked this movie. I'd buy that poster.
It's a great poster. A lot of his posters are great.
Yeah.
Whereas Keaton's posters, they always drew him like with real
hangdog.
Oh my God. But yeah, I saw this as a kid, and I was like, whatever. And then maybe about 3 years ago, it was playing in downtown Philadelphia. I said, I'm going to go see a silent movie on the big screen. And I went, and it was packed with a bunch of old people in tuxedos and nice dresses and that type of thing. People who thought they were classy. And I was just sitting there watching it, and I'm like, ugh. It is way too sentimental. And that last shot makes me want to throw up.
So I'm going to read this from Wikipedia. In 1949, the dickhead critic, that's my addition, James Agee, called the film's final scene the greatest single piece of acting ever committed to celluloid.
It's not, though.
He wrote that in 1949.
I understand that, but even so, to that point,
it's revolting almost. This bit of acting.
And not only that, just like because that's why I wanted to hit on the way Safety Last ends and The General ends with those great gags that close up the film. The last shot of this movie is like, I don't know. It never ever struck me in like a moving way. It was always just like
after watching
what was that?
Yeah, after watching the movie,
He's got his hand in his mouth, kind of, and it's first of all we can get into the nonsense that there's a procedure that makes a woman who's blind see again in 1931.
Do you want to run the plot real quick?
Please.
Oh, I don't know. He's a bum. He wakes up on the statue. And that goes on forever. He takes his hat off about a billion times. The hat doffing.
Yeah.
It's not. Come on. I know it's 1931, but still, dude, it's like, all right, mix it up a little here. And then you read about Orson Welles saying that Charlie Chaplin was doing this in like drawing rooms for people and stuff, like going to dinner parties and doing like the act from his like. Ugh. Anywho, so he's just some bum.
You should also point out that real quick. Orson had the experience of working with him during Monsieur Vardo, which is a black comedy that Chaplin made, I guess in the 40s, but it started as an Orson Welles script. Orson wanted to direct it. There was some clashing there, and eventually Orson got, I think, talked down to just the story by credit. But so he did get the attempt to work with him. So a lot of what he says is not unfound or, you know.
Oh, you guys should really check this book out. We're going to do an episode on it. So
We
actually,
will.
that's a good thing. Get the book.
Get the book.
I'll maybe I find a good link I can pop up on Patreon.
Come support us on Patreon for illegal access to literature at patreon.com/almostcultclassics.
We're your men for that.
No,
but-
I really do recommend. You can. I got Brian a copy of this book online for like $2,
Right.
On Abe Books
So
or
well
eBay.
worth
So
it.
yeah. But anyway,
but you can get ahead of it and read it.
Yeah.
And because we're going to do an episode on it. But where were we?
we're talking about the plot of City Lights. He ends up interacting with a blind girl who mistakes him for a wealthy person,
Right.
And he falls in love with her,
Right.
And hijinks ensue.
The whole thing is like there's this drunk millionaire who, when he's drunk, he grabs the tramp and it's like, hey, you're my buddy. Let me take you out in the town. And then he sobers up and he's like, who are you? Get away from me. Like that happens 3 or 4 times. It's kind of, I guess
There's some funny sequences there. There is funny sequences. The boxing stuff is funny.
it's not a terrible movie. It's good.
No,
Just-
I just never understood it being ranked as like
I didn't-
anything that comes close
By the
to
way,
the
I didn't
general.
like the boxing sequence. It's choreographed well, but for those of you who haven't seen it, the ref is in between the tramp and whoever the tramp is boxing. Who I love how that guy's tough. He looks like a guy who's like about to have a fucking heart attack. I
Yeah.
love the old tough guy
the
in
old
movies.
the old boxers were always like
Just-
65-year-old fat dudes
Yeah,
like
it's so smoking a cigarette.
Grogan or like
So funny, but he won't move out from in between them. Just move. Like, is it? I don't know. Like I said, it looks good, so I think people give it a pass, but it makes no sense. The ref would just move out of the way.
Do you know he shot that opening sequence for like months?
That one on the statue.
No, the scene where him getting out of the car with where the blind girl first sees him. He shot that fucking thing because he couldn't figure out a way to make her think he was wealthy. You can watch the takes online. Someone masterfully. I'll lend you a copy of it. It came out a while ago called Unknown Chaplin, where they fucking took all of his outtakes and unused footage to compile like how he worked as an artist and filmmaker. Not a pleasant guy to work with. Like, there's quite a few takes where he's like verbally, you can tell, like screaming at people.
Well, I'd like to. It doesn't surprise me. But
No, he was a control freak, and he did make great. I think The Circus is better than this. I think The Gold Rush is better than this. I think they're all a little bit more tighter and just less fucking like drenched with sentiment. And
it's
like,
too much, and it comes in bad times, and it's like, here's another thing too. I want to address. He's a disturbing looking man. Like, he looks like an Egyptian queen at sometimes with the fucking eyeliner and stuff.
Here's can I quote Orson again?
Please.
He wasn't effeminate, just totally female as a performer. There was no masculine element there. And he was like that as a man, too. Terribly female as a man. It's that smile. That little female smile. He was so beautiful when he was young, and he didn't want any of us to notice it. He beaded his eyelashes. You know how long that takes?
He beaded his eyelashes.
Yeah.
And isn't there some conversation too where did he have some routine where he played a woman or something?
He used to dress up like a woman, yeah.
And they both go, he was beautiful.
Yeah.
He was the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Henry says, you should see Chaplin's female impersonation movie, The Woman it was called. A short, about 20 minutes. He was wearing a fur muff and a fur hat. he looked terrific as a woman. That's how it leads into that. Just Orson Welles at lunch admitting that Chaplin looked terrific as a woman because he was so dainty.
It's too funny. Oh, I think I have seen that. You can cut back in here.
I'm going to cut back into it. So Ryan just Googled an image of Chaplin as the woman. He does look. He does make a very convincing female.
That kind of. I can kind of
just
see
loop
it.
in. He looked terrific as a woman.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, I saw it once. I was confused by what I was seeing. I thought it was Bernadette Peters.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. This book is full of treasure troves like this. This chapter has always been my favorite because he pretty much shits on Chaplin for quite a bit and then talks about... At one point he says...
Was this where he's shitting on Woody Allen, too?
Oh, no, I think he says that Allen later says that Woody Allen has the Chaplin disease.
I wasn't sure if it was the same chapter.
Of Buster Keaton, he said... You've got to separate jokes from beauty and all that. Chaplin had too much beauty. He drenched his pictures with it. That's why Buster Keaton is finally giving him the bath and will historically forever. Oh, yes, he's so much greater.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
But he's right, because it doesn't... That treacly crap turns people off after a while.
And I think a lot of Chaplin's comedy came from the Great Depression and came from a very specific era. And I still think he's great. I think he's worth watching.
Oh, for sure.
I think he makes terrific films. But I just... And it's such a pointless conversation to have who's better of the three, because as I've always told you, I think they all brought something different to the table.
Definitely.
And all improved the art in a better way than they found it. So
their movies are distinctive. That's what's interesting. They really feel like you're like, oh, I'm watching a Lloyd movie.
Right.
I'm watching Chaplin. Like, you can tell.
Unlike Paul Feig, Judd Apatow, and someone else. It's like you comedy today with that flat lighting and that
it's
visual.
It's like they all get marching orders. Here's the joke. Put it in everything.
Mm-hmm. Let's keep talking.
Let's keep talking. Like, are we talking? Well, maybe if we. But did you understand? Did you misunderstand? Did I misunderstand? Did you understand? Did you?
That's the beauty of silent pictures was there was no improvisation.
It's.
Can we? I think when we do this show on this book, let's just read segments of it, like a stage play.
I'm going to highlight big blocks of it. Oh yeah. Well,
yes.
That's going to be a long episode. We're going to go through the whole book.
Oh, yes.
You got to just him doing it.
Yeah. Just over and over. Oh, yes, he's so much greater. But that's another thing, too. I couldn't find the exact... I was reading some articles, in City Lights, Orson Welles considered one of his favorite films. I'm like, that's got to be bullshit, because I cannot find a single source to back it up.
I couldn't either. I did the same thing.
And he clearly says here... He says City Lights is Chaplin's best film in this book, but he just says The General... might be the greatest movie ever made. So
well, that makes sense, because there's some way of I've said a variation on that before. I'm not throwing myself into the same class as Mr. Wells, but it's the idea of what was it? Like, you could say I don't know, like, take anyone, like Coppola, like The Godfather's we were doing Leone.
Yeah.
And I was saying how Good, the Bad, and the Ugly it's his best movie. Mm-hmm. But Once Upon a Time in the West is his best movie. You know what I'm saying?
There's like a subjecture kind of that you can...
It's more like in an objective sense. If you were to look at things objectively, I'd say Once Upon a Time in the West is his best film.
Okay.
However, his best movie is Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Sure.
It's the funnest movie. It's got the best... It's the best movie. But if there were an objective way to look at it,
right.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's
which is still subjective.
Especially with these silent movies, it's hard to do that. But, he might have changed his mind after he tried to work with Chaplin. I don't know if that's where it came about. But even when I know about Orson, it just doesn't seem like the type of movie he would have...
But couldn't he have respected what he accomplished while still not liking it?
Of course.
There's also, that's kind of...
And I think that's what he did. But in this book, it's just great because it's like the seedy gossip of and some of it might be all bullshit, who knows? But it's just the fact that he was sitting there in his old age and just rattling off these tales of... And looking at these three, they're, like you said, they're all distinct. The humor is distinct. The angles, the framing, the title cards, the music, everything is distinct. And I'm glad that, in general, I'm glad that silent movies are getting more, looked at today. You know,
should.
Criterion's been putting out quite a few. HBO Max has a ton of silent stuff on there, and a lot of that stuff is in public domain now, so you can watch it. You can replicate it. Like, that's the great thing about it. It's so easily accessible, and you can find HD copies of all this stuff on YouTube. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already. Obviously, I always recommend Safety Last if you haven't seen a silent before, but of these three, The General is I consider the best. But
I'd go Safety Last, but The General's awesome. And City Lights, I would, if you're into silence, you have to watch it.
Yeah, watch The Woman.
After 20 minutes, I'm in.
And watch, I think The Circus is Chaplin's is a fun one. But we do have one more silent film to talk about, which after Silent Movie was the last commercially released silent movie in America, which is The Artist, which I haven't seen since it came out, and you had never seen. But you're a big fan of Jean Desjardins and the OSS movies, so
they're awesome. I love those movies.
What did you think of the Artist?
I was surprised because it's one of those movies where it's easy to say, like, if a movie wins Best Picture, it's probably garbage. It happens a lot anymore, where it's just like it doesn't even mean anything. So I remember this movie came out and people were like, "Ooh, The Artist!" Like, "Ooh," like 2011. We didn't lose our souls yet, I guess. There still was a little bit of things happening cinematically. So I think people were kind of excited for this. Then it won Best Picture, and it seemed like on a dime people turned on this movie. And the whole time I had never seen it, so I don't know. Like, maybe it is a piece of shit. Maybe they didn't like this movie's good. It's definitely good. It's very well done. It's a smartly updated silent. It does all the things silent do, but it keeps it fucking fresh and moving. And some of like the montages I really liked.
Yeah, they're really inventive, the way that they kind of transition from shot. It looks like that old type of transition, the crossfade type stuff. Even like I said, the title cards, they look old, but they're polished. They're new and bright. And yeah.
I mentioned this in the silent movie thing, that both movies commit the sin of making a movie about movies. It's just a cheat almost to me. It's very, very easy. You can shoot cameras. You can shoot people on a set. You can boom your boom and blah, blah, blah. And it's easy, too. It's an easy story to make. He's making a silent movie. And in this one, it's kind of, I like the approach is that he's getting pushed out of silence. Silence are done. And the way they use sound in this, I think, is okay.
Yeah, you never hear Peppy talk, even though the fact that she's hailed as being a great, talking actress. I think it's a little dour. I think it lags a little bit and, like, almost towards the end, like, after, like, he becomes, like, a drunk, and I think it's a little too dour, and
he almost has a downfall too quick.
Yeah, he makes that. He spends all his money funding that terrible movie,
and he opened it on the same night as hers. What was it? Wasn't It Girl?
All Beauty or some Beauty
Spot.
Beauty Spot. Yeah,
I think right. Yeah.
I think so.
But great old style poster for her.
I love all the art in the movie. I love I love that it's 4-3 as far as the ratio goes. It's not, and our good person, we're great fans of John Goodman, plays a great silent studio head. Great little Penelope Ann Miller playing his wife. No? I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of her.
I don't want to take a dump on her too much.
But I think that was an inspired choice because
why?
He needed a wife that wasn't like better than him in a way. Does that make sense? She seems very like they were together before he became famous. That's the vibe I get.
Yeah.
She's not a drop dead gorgeous woman.
No.
She's cute, but she's a little bit older than him, and it kind of works when she leaves. Like,
I always have such a bad view of her, and it's not her fault.
It's because of Big Top Pee-wee.
No, oh Jesus, no! She tanks all her scenes in Carlito's Way.
Oh, right.
She ruins the pacing of that movie.
She couldn't have been the first.
Charlie, don't leave, Charlie. I gotta do this.
Isn't she a dancer?
Yeah, you get one good scene with her when she's dancing with the Italian guy at the club, and Carlito's watching them.
Yes.
And you get Sean Penn's phenomenal lawyer character. Great good scene. But yes, her scenes drag that movie down.
I like when these character actors you haven't seen in a while pop up in something like this because, like, first of all, John Goodman, I don't know if he fired his agent in the early, like, around this time. He was, like, he went from doing nothing to doing, like, pretty, like, Oscar-nominated films. Because what was the winner? Argo. He was in Argo. I don't know if that was after or before this, but he was in 2 Best Picture winners back to back. And then he did stuff I really like 10 Cloverfield Lane, and just like he came back in a big way, where I feel like he was doing like shitty sitcoms and voice acting stuff.
Someone got him in stuff more.
And he and
he's always worked.
In The Artist, he is appropriately fat. He's not thin, sickly-looking John Goodman that he is today, but he's not like morbidly obese, like I'm dying John Goodman. It's a perfect middle ground. He should have stayed that way.
I agree.
You know, now he's got that long hair, and he's still limping around the Connors house.
Did you watch The Righteous Gemstones?
I didn't finish season 2.
It's all right.
I think he's better utilized in 2.
Yeah.
They give him a little more backstory, and
it's the weakest of their 3 shows, but
it is. But
it's fine. It's watchable.
I was just telling Ryan, I just rewatched Barton Fink, and I went down a wormhole of just watching clips of him from Raising Arizona and Big Lebowski, where it's just like, what a performance in both of those movies. Like, Walter is just such a fun character.
It's all-timer.
Yeah.
It's such a funny character. Dirty Undies.
I love when they're at the funeral prom. God damn it! It's just the outburst. And even in Barton Fink, every performance in that movie is perfect. But he is just so, like, unnerving. And, like, the wrestling scene, he's like, grab a hold of me. Come on. It's just like, we're big fans. We talked about Matinee and things like that. So he's great in this. And who else is in there?
You got James Cromwell.
That's right.
Minus his African hat.
The chauffeur.
I love that. You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
He wears the African. I think he might even claim it's like Nepalese.
Did you hear he glued himself to a counter at Starbucks? Have you read this story?
He's a big activist guy.
Well,
that's why he wears the hat.
They charge more for plant-based milk. So to protest, he glued himself to the counter.
Is this recent?
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's a few weeks ago. So
he needs to work.
Malcolm McDowell pops up.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand.
I didn't either. He's credited as the butler.
I realized that. I think he's just an extra on the film.
Okay.
I thought he was like a studio guy
did too,
hanging out.
She was like bragging to him.
Yeah, that wasn't well presented.
No,
that was confusing.
No,
but otherwise, man, I gotta say,
Ken DeVitan.
Oh, DeVitan.
Yeah,
he pops
He's the pawnbroker.
It's funny. Probably the best part of Borat.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was really good in the second one. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I hated that they didn't include him.
I'm not gonna watch it.
No. What did you think of? I actually was like stunned by the dance sequence. I don't remember it being that good.
The one at the end.
Yeah.
I'm not too impressed by dancing.
I know.
No, it was fine. It was clean. It was great. Like, it's good.
That's what I'm saying. When you see like a one take where it's just like,
I got to say this. I'm going to get up and try to do it for Joe real quick. And he does it with...
You and I should do that, like the Stan and Ollie dance.
We absolutely should.
We'll do the artist dance.
But the grin he wears the whole time, it's just perfect.
No, he's a smug bastard, and it works though.
Oh, it's great. But even when they meet, they bump her on the street, and he's just like, "Oh, you," and like it's a happy movie until it's not.
I think that's what threw me when I watched it last night. I was like, I was having so much fun with it, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh man.
And it spends too much time there.
Yeah.
After that too, where it's like, but it's
very Billy Wilder-esque.
A little bit.
I get a little Billy Wilder vibes from it. I get like Sunset Boulevard. It feels similar to that. But yeah, I mean I surprisingly had more fun with it than I remembered, and I was like 20 when I saw it last, so. It's still inventive enough, like that scene where he starts hearing things. He has that nightmare where it
wasn't bad.
That's a cool scene.
Now, what was the thing? He just was afraid to talk, or was it the accent?
I think that's always left up to.
Oh, it just left up to.
Yeah, but you do hear the accent at the end, so I think you kind of assume. Oh,
that's why you didn't want to.
I mean, you were talking about before I started rolling. I was like, usually when you get that Best Actor nom or even award, you kind of pop up in some things. They throw you in some things, and the only thing I really remember him being in was that Monuments Men movie. And it was the one you said he was in?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street he has a small part in, but...
There's a great example of a very entertaining movie. It's a bad movie. It's not a good movie.
I haven't seen it since it came out.
Dude, that movie will have me rolling at certain parts. The gooble gobble, like, it's a funny movie. It's entertaining. It's not a good movie. It's a fucking mess. I could go. I could talk about later.
What a shock, people! Ryan hates a popularly loved film.
It's a mess. It's not a good movie. It's like it's late stage Scorsese. He's all over the place.
Hey, Ray Liotta.
Hey, R.I.P.
That's a bummer. Have we talked about the Many Saints of Newark. That's been it. Man,
Well, no, the joke we had was like now he can't, like the third.
There's going to be a
the
third
triplet
sibling that just keeps
can't appear.
It'll be Travolta.
Comes in from Italy.
Yeah, the artist. It's surprising that I almost wish Hollywood didn't embrace it as like their best picture, because it goes against so much of what they're about.
And the funny thing is, it's a foreign film.
And it's a foreign film.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't made for America. It wasn't made in an American studio. Like, it was made for overseas, and then it kind of...
Well, you got that Weinstein company. Did they scoop it up?
I think so, yeah.
Was that what their strong suit was? Just scooping up shit like
Acquisition?
that? Yeah.
That's how they made their bones,
Okay.
dude.
Well, I know Clerks and all that stuff, but...
the guy that wrote Down and Dirty Pictures is the other book he wrote.
And
it's about...
He also wrote...
he edited this.
He edited My Lunches with Orson.
Biskind. We both should probably read that biography they mentioned in this. That was written by the woman.
Of
Wells?
Orson.
Yeah.
That might be in there.
I don't know.
Who knows? There's so much shit that's been written about him that's either inaccurate or...
But he seemed to be okay with that book. Because he talked to her, right?
I think so, yeah.
And he wouldn't talk to anyone else.
Didn't he do something with Bogdanovich? He put out a book with Bogdanovich that was like, I don't know.
I would check that out
if
they did. I don't know.
Even him he turns on. That's the heartbreaking thing about this book, which we'll get to. Like the people that he helped out or had his back that kind of abandoned him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's talking to Henry Jaglom. He's having lunch every day with Henry Jaglom, who's stringing him along. Oh no, Orson! Oh, we're getting the overseas money. It's going to come in. We're going to do King Lear. It's going to happen.
He fully admits he was just doing that to give him some like.
He's a lonely old man.
Yeah, he had to.
Crushed under the weight of his own genius. Oh yes.
Yes. Oh yes. I gave him the bath.
I was working on my Orson the other day, and I don't want to do.
I think it's Maurice LaMarche does the voice.
Yeah, well, you're sounding a little Rickman-y there.
Yes,
Alan Rickman-y.
Yes, but if you're going to be Orson, have a cigar. And you can work on it.
I'll get the voice.
You're doing more like War of the Worlds Orson.
Yes,
I'm working on
Orson.
like belligerent, drunk, overweight Orson Welles.
Yes, I like the young Orson. Mercury Theater Orson.
Yes. That's all the cigars and brandy. And
on tonight's
Paul
broadcast,
Mason.
live from Lakehurst, New Jersey. It's the War of the Worlds.
Have you ever listened to that?
I think I have actually.
I checked it out.
It's
after
pretty
reading
good.
This book. It's fun.
It is good.
I can imagine. Radio Days, movie we're fond of, has a great moment with that.
Awesome sequence.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that.
Did you think? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think the artist does the concept of a modern silent movie better, despite the fact that it takes place in the past, as in black and white, and scored and framed like an old black and white movie. Whereas Mel Brooks' silent movie tries to throw all those things away and is a lesser film because of it. So it's just ironic to see that. Despite you wanting to modernize the concept of a silent movie, you just can't really detach it from this era. There are certain things you can't detach a silent movie from.
I disagree, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying everything needs to be this, but like there are certain elements of a silent movie.
You think that it needs to be set in that era?
No.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought you were saying.
No. I think black and white plays a huge part.
I think that seems to be key. I don't know if it's necessary.
No, look, there are plenty of like look at stuff like Mr. Bean. You know, there are stuff that's pretty silent, but it's done in a way where you don't think you're watching a silent film.
Right.
And I think either Mel Brooks should have embraced that and tried to hide it. Maybe, I don't know. Like, you know, there are ways to probably do it more creatively. But I respect the artist because they're just like, this is what it is. It is a love letter to this era. Takes place in this era. Inspired by this era. They commit fully to.
And it shows it can be done today.
Yes,
they did it.
Yeah.
It's the movie isn't. You're engaged the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Music doesn't fucking bore you or anything. It keeps going. It's.
No, I wish someone would try this again. I think the artist showed that there is, well, beyond that. I'm just saying. I wish there was like a commercial filmmaker that, you know, I think this concept is worth doing.
Keep dreaming.
Well, hey, this podcast now is turning into you getting to watch silent movies, so I'm happy with it. Now I need to find an excuse for you to watch The Freshman, which is a good Howard Lloyd movie.
Well, no, what we need to do is branch into non-comedic silence, which you probably have a leg up on me there. But like Fritz Lang is fucking like M. You ever see M?
No. I'm sure it's great.
Oh no, yeah, it's amazing.
That's a big blind spot for me. In fact, I just finally watched Nosferatu and The Phantom of the Opera over last Halloween. I checked them out. I would love to do more shit
but
like
you
that.
brought up like even like D.W. Griffith, like an Intolerance movie. Like I was watching, like I was looking at some of the production, like stills of that. I'm like, Jesus, like the sets they built and shit. I'm like,
what's that one you always see with the big moon?
the
It's got,
Meliere's brother one.
the telescope.
Oh yeah, that's the Meliere's or whatever.
And then there's
their stuff's actually like, or whoever did that.
Metropolis too. That's another
Metropolis is Lang,
one. Yeah,
but it's not the Lumiere's.
Lumiere.
I don't know. It's
I don't
one of
know.
the French, but I think I've seen more of their
The
stuff.
listeners are shouting at their
yeah, right.
devices right now. Sorry, guys.
Oh my god!
You can tell we do have some blind spots.
It happened. But that's what we're saying. We got to
Yeah.
fill these in.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's what's forgotten. Is that we think silents are comedies and that's it. So no one even tries to make them again. Where it's like, no. You could do a lot more with this.
Yeah.
Just no one's even considering it.
Yeah. So I think the artist is good. It might take me another 10 years to get back to it, but it was fun to watch in context for this episode.
Oh, for sure. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah. And I might check out those OSS movies because he just seems so fun and
They're fun.
Yeah.
They're really cool.
yeah, he's got such a great charismatic kind of on-screen
And
personality.
the movies lean into that. Like it's
Yeah.
a plot point.
It's the same director, right?
Yeah.
And the woman
Berenice Bejo.
Yeah, she's in both. Cool. I'll check them out. And they're French speaking though, right? They're foreign films essentially. Yeah?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're very funny.
That'll be something. We'll have to do some foreign stuff maybe at one point. We're hitting the genres pretty well.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we've been doing genre shows. We did
Honestly,
Western.
That wouldn't even be. That'll come back to that a little bit, maybe.
What do we do? What's the thing?
What do you mean?
We could find something.
Just those two movies are pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then we could check out Casa de Ma Padre. What is that movie Will Ferrell did where the whole thing is foreign?
You know, I've really come to. He's another one I've come to just. What a lazy hack, horribly unfunny person. I thought that was such a brilliant idea to do
too.
a whole movie in Spanish.
I do too.
Fuck yes, dude. That's awesome. That is a great. That goes on the list.
Casa de was it called?
I think it was The House of My Father.
Okay.
Casa de Mi Padre.
Yeah,
Do they Mexican him up,
I think so.
or does he play like an
I
adoptive,
don't
like
know.
a jerk type thing?
I've only seen the poster for that movie, and
That was such a brilliant fucking idea. It probably sucks.
We'll check it out.
Yeah,
I think that's a good one.
That's a good one.
all right, we'll sit with that, and then we're gonna come back next time with Fierce Creatures, and we'll probably do a little recap maybe on some of the Python stuff. I think that ties into it, or whatever. I'm a big Faulty Towers fan. We could talk about that a little bit.
And how many episodes of that are
12 episodes.
there? Maybe we like to take our time in between these episodes, and maybe I'll be able to just watch it all.
Yeah, well, pending when this goes out, which will be, But yeah, we're going to, if you have any suggestions, obviously we're always open. So anything you think ties into Fierce Creatures or Monty Python or John Cleese, let us know because we'll get to it. We'll do another bonus episode on it. We do have another bonus episode out on our Patreon currently. That's going to be all about Mel Brooks's Robin Hood Men in Tights, which we had a lot to say about. I'm surprised. But that's up there now. So that's patreon.com/almostcultclassics for $5 a month. You get bonus episodes, polls when we're going to decide our next episode, and all kinds of bonus stuff. So thank you to those of you that listen and support the show on Patreon. It goes a long way for us. And thank you so much for checking out this episode, and we'll see you next time for our discussion on Fierce Creatures.
Thanks for listening.